Beautiful Friday on the Broad Top. Today we are continuing our reading through the New Testament in a year, and we're reading today John chapter 15. This is what it says. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He takes away every branch that does not bear fruit in me. He prunes every branch that bears fruit so that it will bear more fruit. You are clean already because of the word that I've spoken to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. Just as a branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it remains in the vine, so neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. The one who remains in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. Because apart from me, you can accomplish nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is thrown out like a branch and dries up. And such branches are gathered and thrown into the fire and are burned up. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you want and it will be done for you. My Father is honored by this, that you bear much fruit, that you are and show that you are my disciples. Just as the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Remain in my love. If you obey my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you these things so that my joy may be in you, and your joy may be complete. My commandment is this, to love one another just as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one lays down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I no longer call you slaves, because a slave does not understand what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have revealed to you everything I heard from the Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit that remains, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. This I command you, to love one another. If the world hates you, be aware that it hated me first. If you belong to the world would love you as its own. However, because you do not belong to the world, but I chose you out of the world, for this reason the world hates you. Remember what I told you. A slave is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they obeyed my word, they will obey yours too. But they will do all these things on account of to you on account of my name, because they do not know the one who sent me. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would not be guilty of sin. But they no longer have any excuses for their sin. The one who hates me hates my Father too. If I had not performed among them the miraculous deeds that no one else did, they would not be guilty of sin. But now they have seen the deeds and have hated both me and my Father. Now this has happened to fulfill the word that is written in the law. They hated me without reason. When the Advocate comes, whom I will send from the Father, the Spirit of truth who goes out from the Father, he will testify about me. And you will also testify, because you have been with me from the beginning. This passage, the idea of the vine and the branches, I think we can understand it. Well, if a vine is not, or if a plant is not producing fruit, it's pretty useless if that's its purpose. And a vine, that's the purpose for the vine. It produces grapes. And so if a branch from a vine doesn't produce grapes, really it's just sucking energy out of the rest of the plant. If it continues to grow and grow and grow, it can prevent the branches that are producing fruit from producing good fruit. And so they've got to be cut off. But one of the things that is also that Jesus talks about here that I think we don't think about a lot is this idea of branches that are producing fruit sometimes still are pruned. When I was in high school, I worked at a fruit research station for Missouri State in Mountain Grove, Missouri for a summer, and then I was an intern there the next fall. And one of the things that I had to do is we'd go take care of the grapevines during the summer. And so, we'd have to rake them and stuff. But one of the things that was really counterintuitive to me, they told us, okay, you need to go out and you guys need to prune the grapes. I'm like, okay, so we just get rid of the bad vines. No. You need to thin the actual fruit and the actual vines that are producing things so that the ones that are left produce more. And it was this weird thing because you had these two clusters of grapes that they weren't near grown, but you would cut one off so that the other cluster would grow to maturity and become a beautiful mature huge thing of grapes. If we had not done that, then they would have been smaller. You would have had two clusters, but they wouldn't have been near as big as the one. And I think so that's what we did. It was kind of weird to do it. We did it, and then we saw, it did have that effect. And I think one of the things sometimes that we need to think through is sometimes there's pruning that happens in our lives. Pruning of even things that seem really good. Because if we have too many things going on in our life, we can't give attention to it. And God may have something very particularly He wants us to focus on. And so there is a process where He kind of can prune some things. He may call us to prune some things as well. So that we can have more growth in our life where He is directing us. And when we do that, we bear more fruit than if we are just spread out. And I think that's something that is important for us to learn. The idea that sometimes God allows pruning or causes pruning in our lives of good things because He wants something else that's already there to be much bigger and better. And we need to focus on that. So, and really, this whole thing is about us realizing we are supposed to remain in Jesus. We're supposed to obey Him, to show His love to the world. And if we try to go out and do things all on our own, it's not going to be good. It's not in the end going to produce real fruit. It may seem to have some results, but those results will be temporary. So I remember we had an apple tree when I lived in Indiana. And one year we had all these blossoms and it looked like this fruit was going to grow. It was beautiful. And so we didn't really do much with it. And so we didn't think much about it. It was really rainy that summer, so it had lots of rain, stuff like that. So then we came to see about the fruit when it was time for them to start ripening. And we noticed there were no apples. They'd all died and fallen off because they weren't taken care of, and because we didn't prune it, and because we also didn't thin the apples, but it wasn't good fruit to begin with. And I think sometimes when we try to do things on our own, that can happen in our lives. So may we be a people that allow God to thin things in our life. May we also be a people that seek to make sure we're always connected to Jesus, and that all that we do, we are seeking His guidance and His help and His strength to make it happen. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a